I'm gonna call the meeting over so we can get in and get out. All right, it's 12 o'clock. I'm gonna call the meeting of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council to in session. Purpose of the record, we're gonna do a roll call with Mitch, I think, and then between you guys, County Board Chair, we should just add a roll call component on here because we do virtual. That way there's a recorded acknowledgement of who's present.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
can you do a roll call from your roster?
Yes, I think I can. James Flander,
Present.
John Yackel,
Present.
Don Rotek,
Doug?
or Doug, sorry.
He gets called Don all the time. Right?
Bruce Potet.
That's a little sensitive.
Freudian slip. Doug Potet, yeah.
Doug Kotek.
Bruce Potet. Absent. Jeff Johnson,
Here.
Tom Hoff,
Here.
Tweed Schuman,
Here.
Lorraine Boucher,
Not here.
Ryan Reed,
Present.
Jeff Schley,
Not here.
Mark Helwig,
Not here.
Kathy McCoy,
I'm here.
Gary Hildendorf.
Here.
And then the justice points, they're part of the board.
They're not here.
Okay,
Participate, report to, but they're not.
okay, so that is the
They
members.
just provide updates to that. So, let the record reflect that we do have a quorum for today's meeting. Madam Clerk, are we in compliance with the open meetings laws?
Yes, we are. Public notice has been sent.
Okay. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next, the meeting agenda has been posted. Is there any questions about the agenda? Hearing no questions, we're going to go to public comment. Is there anybody who's not on the committee, who's in either virtual or present, that wishes to address this committee at this time? Also, they're going to be with a hand up.
No hands up.
All right, hearing no public comment, we have minutes from the last meeting. The minutes have been presented to the committee. Is there any questions about the minutes? I entertain a motion. I have a motion from Mr. Schuman, second from Lieutenant Johnson. In discussion of any edits or changes to the minutes? Hearing no comments, call for a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes as presented, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Next, we're going to Justice Point. Nick, are you with us?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chair.
If you wish, Mr. Sainer sent did that email go out to everybody, or did it just come to the chairs?
I think it just came to the chairs.
Right, so Mr. Sainer, if you would be so inclined, Mr. Sainer was posed a question regarding the CAD grant. I think it was that CAD grant application.
It was actually a Bureau of Justice Assistance grant.
All right, so Bureau of Justice Assistance Bureau is it's a Bureau of Indian Affairs. They're I'm blanking on it, but there's an Office of Tribal Justice that has a grant that is made available to tribal courts, and Mr. Hoff was made available. I think Mr. Schuman shared that email. Mr. Sainer did an analysis. Mr. Sainer, if you want, you can give that report. It was a really good report. Otherwise, if you could just forward that on, and I can either distribute it, or Ms. Fitch or Mr. Hoff can distribute that for everyone's information.
Mr. Chair, I'd be willing to do whatever is most convenient for you and the other committee members.
Mr. Hoff, do you have any view on that?
We'll pass it along.
All right, so you guys can expect that it's actually a pretty good analysis, and it brings us right back to zero. It's going to be a difficulty. It'll take some steps to address, but I think the questions that come from that, just to give you a heads up, as you read that email, one of the issues that comes to the point is the relationship between the state court or the Surrey County court and the tribal court, and how that could be that would be beneficial to strengthen that relationship, which would have made this grant application more viable for consideration. So anyway, that's for that to go on. Mr. Sainer, please proceed with the rest of your update.
Sure. I just wanted to provide a quick update on the contract side, and then I'm going to actually turn over to do some introductions, both of some of the other partners from Justice Point and the difference principle that'll be involved in launching the programs within Sawyer County. So I believe at the last meeting, we had hoped to have the contract finalized by the end of the week. Unfortunately, there were some changes to the language, legal language that went back and forth between Sawyer County legal representatives and the difference principle and Justice Point's representatives. That took a little bit longer. The contract wasn't signed until this last week. However, because we felt like both parties were moving in good faith, decided to continue on with our interview process and hiring process. Like I said, it was more of a legal hurdle than any major red flags from our perspective. So we just needed to get that language cleared up. With that, I'm going to actually introduce Nikki Light, who is going to be the program administrator for all the Justice Point staff here in Sawyer County. As well as Daniela Imig, who is the Director of New Initiatives for the Difference Principle, which is the parent company of Justice Point. Daniela's role is really to help get programs up and running, whereas Nikki will be directly involved in the day-to-day supervision and contract management of these staff and these programs. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. Nikki, Daniela, I don't know who would like to give the update on where we are with the provision of the services.
Hi everyone, my name is Nikki Light. I'm going to be the program administrator for our Sawyer County program. And Danielle and I would also like to introduce Melissa Fisher, who is going to be our program director. Or our program coordinator. She started on Monday. So Melissa just started on Monday. We also have our case manager hired. Her name is Becky Berry, and she'll be starting next Monday. So Melissa is doing training this week. She's already started training on the McPray, which is the assessment tool that we'll be using in the jail. And then she and Becky will be doing some joint training on our electronic monitoring equipment next week and our case management system. And we should be ready to go for starting screening in the jail on January 18th. I've had some communication with Tom already this morning. So we have some questions about some other elements of the programming that we need answered in order to get started. And then we'd also like to have a conversation with the district attorney's office to get some more clarification on getting diversion started. And then also the sheriff for the jail programming that we're going to be doing as well. So Daniela, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Nope, you covered everything. Thanks, Nikki.
Yeah. And then Melissa, can you just give the group some background information about yourself and introduce yourself to them?
Yeah, so my name is Melissa Fisher. I think most of you in the room actually already know who I am. So grew up in Sawyer County. I worked for the jail for a number of years. I've known Gary Hilgendorf, I think, since I was about 2 or 3 when he first moved to the area. And I'm looking forward to being back in the area, especially with a working knowledge of some of the issues that are in the area and what's needed in our criminal justice system. So.
Great. Any questions? So, Mr. Sander, when it comes to the Justice Point update, what can this committee expect? And when are you going to start, are you gonna, well, let me phrase it this way. One is, let me think about this. So what I'm looking for is some of the numbers that you're going to be generating, how many people you have in your program, the kind of services. This is a really good introduction, and I'm really glad you got someone that's, local that can help be the face of Justice Point. The second thing is, when are you going to, or have you already set up a meeting with the stakeholders so that we can start figuring out or coordinating what the services are going to be like?
Mr. Chair, great question. We have not started setting up those meetings, but that is on our to-do list. I think what we would like to do is meet with the stakeholders to talk about what data elements, just make sure what data elements are relevant to not only the stakeholders, but also to the CJCC. And I guess what I would propose, if this is, I don't know if this is feasible given the timeframes and obviously some of the difficulties in meeting in person, but I would propose that we could bring together at the next CJCC meeting a sample document of data elements that we could provide to this committee for discussion, just to make sure that we're covering all the data elements that you and the committee are interested in.
All right.
Mr. Chairman. Nick, this is Tweed. And
Tweed.
previously, you understand that the tribe played a big role. We actually had our own, at our behavioral health building, we had a urine drug screen. What do they call it, Jim? This is not word.
It was for the bond testing.
Bond
So-
testing. We had a bond testing site on the reservation for tribal members, so they didn't have to travel all the way to Sawyer County. The tribe is a big player in this, Nick, so you need to meet with
Yep.
people at the tribe, at the clinic, and at our healing and wellness court, and the behavioral health department to coordinate all those services that'll be available to you as well.
Thank you, Tweed. I completely agree and understand, and we're more than happy and willing to meet with anyone from the tribe that can certainly help us get a better handle on how to serve the clients and the individuals coming through the system.
So actually, that was going to go to my second comment is, so the tribe has, and this is not for so much for you, Nick, is just that as more of the kind of your instructions, is the tribe has made a substantial financial contribution to this. And so we need to make sure that they have clear participation in terms of what the I guess whatever the deliverables that you're going to be working on. It's something like $50,000 a year. So we're going to need something tangible, and that we'll have a better response after the February meeting. But you really need to tweet. I don't know who would be the. Here's what I don't want to have happen. I don't want you to meet with one tribal official and say you met with the tribe, because there's too many different components. There's law enforcement, there's the tribal courts, there's the health center, there's behavioral health, and then there's what else? What are factors are in there?
CCS.
Oh yeah, CCS, and then making sure that we have an established separate testing site at the Bijiki Center, because when they don't comply with that, are they in default of their bond? They can be brought back in, right? Judge?
Well, someone's going to have to meet with me. I mean, I get that at this point, we are trying to start up and just get things organized and everything gelled, and I get all that. And to the extent that the county and the tribe want to provide services to the citizens of some type of drug treatment, whether or not they're in the court system or they're not in the court system, that's all good, and that's beyond my realm. But I would assume that part of the reason why we are here is because we want the criminal justice system to utilize this Justice Point, the service that is being provided. And so right now I'll make myself available to anyone to meet with the Justice Point on, what I believe is that at this point, it's still a little bit too early for them as they're forming to worry about where I'm at on this. But I would think that at some point down the road, then you bring the criminal justice system in. Because unfortunately, a lot of the people who need services, their first question is, well, how is this going to help me in court? And that's a legitimate question.
Nick, the short
Yeah.
answer to that is
Yes, that's
in this next week.
No.
Sometime in this next 2 weeks, I need you to make the judge's visit the first visit, because conceptually everything starts from there.
I'm just going to jump in. I'm sorry for interrupting, Mr. Chairman, but if you don't think that's necessary, if you have to form and get things gelled before that takes place, I understand that. Just know that I'll make myself available whenever you're ready.
Yes, Judge Jackal, thank you very much. And yes, all of the stakeholders that we've talked about, Judge specifically, you in particular, when I use the general term stakeholders, all of those individuals are included in my mind. So I apologize that I didn't make that super clear, but I agree with the judge's comments as well. We're just trying to get our sort of feet underneath ourselves right now, but our goal will be to meet with everyone. And certainly if we miss someone, we're not going to be afraid to or opposed to meet with more people as we continue to progress this program and develop this program.
Well, I kind of view this as a domino effect. I mean, it starts with the judge, and if we don't have clear guidance from what the court's going to need, then anything else that comes in terms of support isn't going to work. And so I want to make sure one of the end products that needs to happen is that bond testing we need that separate site for reservation, so that tribal members have better access to doing that, because, hopefully COVID isn't forever, but, there's going to be some kind of requirement. And if they're going to be in violation of a court order, we're going to end up filling up the jail backwards on something that's inconsequential, or not inconsequential. It's not the intended purpose of what the bonding is supposed to be for. So anyway, Nick, the short answer is yeah, make the judge your first visit. Mr. Schuman.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you talked about who is that person at the tribe, and there's several people that be involved.
Right,
One would be our health director, probably our CCS director, Marie Basty, maybe Rebecca St. Germain with Health and Human Services. We might have a small contingency of people that will be working with Nick and Justice Point, and maybe our judge will have some additional along with Judge Jackal, some ideas.
So here's the thing I don't want is, if we don't have clear, so Nick, I don't know if you're gonna be driving up, or if you're I don't know, delegate to your team, the one that's gonna be stationed in Sawyer County, I don't want lost between this board, communication to you, your communication to your team, and then your team goes out to LCO and no one knows who's supposed to be doing what. So we need to make sure that there's a clean handoff from one to the next to making sure that, Nick, when you come back here in February, that there's clear conversations that happen, and not just a check the box kind of thing. The judge needs the first one, because clearly we need to have guidance as to what he's comfortable with in terms of what we're going to be doing in terms of transferring cases, if that's an option, or if we're going to be recognizing other efforts, whether it's CCS programming, healing the wellness court programming, or cooperation or coordination, and any kind of deferred sentencing. So you're going to need to get Jackal first, Coquette second, the judge first, the district attorney second, and then tribal officials afterwards. And then, so Nick, you can have your team probably coordinate either with Ms. Gouget or Mr. Schuman through council, and then from there, those visits can be arranged and set up so that you're not just knocking on, cold calling to get different people in their offices with something else. Because Nick, I'm going to tell you this, you got a deadline of the next meeting to try to get this together, because we're already 6 months into this, and we need to move on this, because we just need to move on it. So is there any other questions regarding Mr. Singer's instructions?
And I would just throw in, as we're meeting with the district attorney's office and the court, I think the public defender / the criminal defense counsel also need to be involved in some of these meetings, because we're going to be trying to work with our clients to make sure that they get to these meetings, get to these services. I know that the concern of how it affects them in court is huge, but also we can get them treated and dealt with, they won't come back. So definitely including the criminal defense bar in your.
And Ryan, this is John. I don't disagree with anything that you've said, but I will also make sure that because even if they just have you have a representative from the public defender's office, I think it would probably be a good idea when we get things kind of gelled out here to have a bar meeting with the attorneys in the county and maybe surrounding counties, with the judge here, and maybe even if the other some out of county judges want to participate that have county cases here, as to how we're going to set up. So I mean, I agree that keep the PD's office and the defense bar in the loop, but I think I think that's only going to be probably either you or a representative from the PD's office to some extent, because we can't coordinate it all. But I would be interested in having a bar meeting with every defense attorney around to participate.
For sure, and I agree with that, and I'm writing that down because I think that's definitely, once we get everything set, that we can disseminate this information intra-county, out of the county, so people know what's going on. So I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
Well, Nick, that's about 15 appointments that you got between now and February.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
I just wanted to say just a few words. Sorry I'm late. I had the difficult today and time on me. I thought it was a one. But I really support these efforts, and we are heading in the right direction. We are addressing what those findings were and that report that was presented to us. So I really feel good about what we're doing here. And then looking at it as thoroughly as we are at all levels. So I appreciate that. And then when we go back to council, we can let them know that this is where we're at now, what we're doing. So I just wanted to add that because there's times I could not be here. This COVID really hit me this way. So, but I just wanted to go to the next. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Right, Nick, you got anything else with your update?
No, sir.
Any other comments or questions for Mr. Sainer?
All I have, Mr. Chairman, is that we
You
have.
guys got to pull your mics
Oh,
closer.
I'm sorry. All I had was that I handed you a draft of that MOU we
Yeah,
did.
I'm
and that,
about to.
okay.
about to get to that.
And
All right.
the financial component of that MOU was passed unanimously, and as Ms. Boucher mentioned, we're all in support of this fully.
Okay, so Nick, I think we're done with the Justice Point update. One thing we don't have on the agenda, so Lynn, we need to have other matters for discussion only added to future agendas, is Tweed's making reference. We have a draft of the MOU that is set to expire here, if it not already expired. No, it's not expired yet, but it's about to. Essentially, the substantive changes is going to be an increase of the financial contribution from 25 to 50,000 per year for the next 3 years. The other question that's on there that's not articulated in the agreement is formal voting representation of some more of the tribal entities, and that'll be a discussion. I know that at the last meeting I was given a directive to meet with the tribal governing board. I had an informal conversation with a few of the members, but I haven't been placed on their agenda just yet. And so that'll be forthcoming. And one of the two talking points that we're going to have, one is going to be the relationship between the tribe and the county in terms of the criminal justice component. And the second one is going to be, how do we have more members without making this, a huge cumbersome party? So I'll be working on the bylaws, and I'll come back to this committee with those kind of updates. So is there any questions about the MOU?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Hoff?
Yeah, for those of us that don't have a copy, we'll get that distributed. Since it was just handed out today, the rest of us have not seen that yet. Also, just one last Justice Point comment. The office for the local workers is the office right next to the conference room you're seeing here. And Nikki had asked about a conference room for training next week, and that would be the room, Nikki, that you would use next Wednesday if that works out for you. So, and then there's also some space in the jail where they can do the work at the jail that's being developed as well.
Anything else? Any comments from committee? Anything else? Any other matters for discussion only?
Just that the tribe would be welcome to meet these ladies that come with Nick at any time when they first come. We'll open our doors and, right?
So Nick, one more thing you want to add on to your visit, your tour of Sawyer County is you probably want to coordinate with Mr. Schuman, and I don't know what that be, Terry or whoever. You want to coordinate with the tribal council to make sure that you can introduce your team to the tribal governing board in a formal session. And I think that would be helpful in terms of, Tweed's going to tell you how to do it and what to wear and all that. So
Thank you.
Anything else from the committee? If not, this meeting is adjourned. I want to thank everyone for participating.
Were you going to discuss the date and time?
Oh, all right.
Consistency?
So in light of Nick's opportunity to see the rest of Surrey County, can we meet on February 15th at noon, Monday, February 15th?
That'll be tough for us.
February 17th
Yeah, 30.
at noon,
Can it be earlier?
quarter to noon?
No, a week or two before that.
It's gonna be tight for me, because when does FS meet?
Second and fourth Tuesdays.
It's a Wednesday.
I can't meet at noon on Wednesday the 10th. 11th is a committee day.
She said that starting the week of 17.
That's what you're gonna be gone? You just wanna call in?
That could work too.
How about, is Monday good? Is Monday a tough day?
Very tough.
Oh, it's right. So Tuesday at 11? Tuesday criminal court. Wednesday 17th.
I could do Tuesday noon, maybe.
Tuesday at noon, Mr. Reed, what do you think?
That would work if it's at noon.
Ms. McCoy?
Talking the 16th then?
Yeah, whatever that day is.
Yeah, that works. Tuesdays are good.
Tuesday. Mr. Hilgendorf? Lieutenant? Adam, TGV members?
We'll make that work.
Nick?
That works for me.
All right. So we'll set the next meeting for Tuesday, February 16th at noon. Anything else? That's it? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.